Tim's Workshop. We're moving on with part 2 of the Johnson 1947 TD-20. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, leave comments, hit the notification bell to get all my latest videos. Give me a thumbs up if you like, and let all your friends and family know about the videos too. Then over to the right, you'll see an upside down arrow. Click on that. It'll give you the description of the video you're watching. Also my email address and some other information in there like my disclaimer. So check it out. Let's get on to this part 2 of the Johnson Seahorse motor. So we're going to put the fuel tank back on. But before we do that, we need to see if we got spark. And I don't need the fuel tank on for that. And I'm not going to change these cables until I know, that this thing will run. I don't need to change the cables yet, unless I'm losing so much spark it won't start. I put some PB Blaster on these spark plugs. They're really rusted up pretty good, and I need to get those spark plugs out to do a compression check. That's the first thing I always do, is see what the compression is on this. One thing that kind of concerns me here, and I don't know if it's going to affect it that much, but there's a missing head bolt. All the other head bolts are on here except for this one right here. And it's broke off in there. And it's broke off way down in there. I think it might be sticking out a little bit to where I can get something on it, heat it up, and hopefully get that bolt out of there. But I'm going to have to find another bolt. But we'll see if it starts up and first, before we go to all that trouble. If I take the head off, I'm going to have to replace the gasket. So that tells me if somebody broke this bolt off, that means they had this thing off before for some reason. So we'll find out. That's the next step, is get the spark plugs out, do a compression check. If the compression's good, even without a head bolt, then we'll hook up the spark plug checker, check out the spark, see if both coils are working, putting out a charge out to these spark plugs. If we are, then we'll put the fuel tank back on, put just a little bit of fuel in it, just enough to get it going. This is a gravity-fed carburetor, I believe, so there's no fuel pump. The fuel's up here, and it goes down to the carburetor, which is down here, so on the other side. So yeah, simple engine. Simple, simple, simple. I'm glad these clamps are nice and loose. That's a plus for sure. I got the spark plugs out. They're a Champion, made in the USA, J8. They're dirty, but not bad. A little oily. That's typical for a 2-stroke engine with a high, I think it's 24-to-1, something like that, fuel mix on these things. It's in the owner's manual, or I mean the service manual. Let's test out the compression on this thing. So I got my old compression gauge. The thing I was worried about is the depth of this. I started screwing it in. I'm going, well, I hope the piston doesn't hit it. So what I did is I moved it around till the piston was at the top, and then put my screwdriver in there to see how far it went in, and it was like this. We're good, okay? The screwdriver sticks in further than this, so that means this is going to be okay. So let's screw this in. Get this set on 0. To get the spark plug out, I use this. I was able to get in there and turn them. With this thing in the way, you can't do it. But to get the compression gauge in, being it's on a hose, no problem. So somebody was thinking ahead when they did this. So we get it down until the O-ring starts seating in there. That's good. Turn this thing around so we can see it. I got myself a new corded DeWalt half-inch motor for turning these motors, which works good. Got to make sure my prop doesn't hit the 2x4 down below. So I got this opened up, got this turned. I'm just going to put my belly up here to keep it from turning all the way over and hitting the 2x4. So let's turn this thing. This thing turns pretty fast. I wish it had like a... this is a variable speed, so if you pull the trigger harder, you go faster. So here we go. Let's see. Okay. See what we have here. Between 55 and 60 pounds of pressure. So that's pretty good for an old motor. Small cylinders. So that's good for how old it is. And I don't think it was ever rebuilt. It is missing a head bolt though. And if I'm going to restore this thing to the way I want it restored, that means I'll be pulling the head off, replacing the head gasket and all that, and get that bolt replaced. Well, let's see. So we got it on 0. This is the bottom cylinder. So the top cylinder was 55, 60, right around there. Let's see what the bottom cylinder turns out to be. About 60, 65, right around there. So both of them are, you know, almost 60 pounds. So we're good. So the compression's good. That means the engine, all we have to worry about now is getting spark and fuel. So I got the plugs all cleaned up. I took them to a wire wheel and then hit them with brake clean. Should probably use my air blower, blow it out a little bit. Yeah, that was a good idea. They were dirty inside. So make sure you hit them with the air blower. I'll put these spark plugs back in, and then we're going to hook up my spark checker. We'll hook up one at a time. Okay, so I shoved this end of the spark plug tester onto the spark plug. I got this in, electrical tape, taped it to the post here so they're both making contact. The other spark plug, I'm not putting in. For one thing, I lost the ring, unfortunately. I looked around, I can't find it, so whatever. It needs new spark plugs anyway, but I'm only testing one at a time, so I'm going to use the one that I do have the ring on there to test it. So put the motor on there and spin it around and see if we get spark. So I'm going to situate you over here so you're looking at the spark checker. Let's see if we got spark. So we can do this without it flopping around. Yeah, I saw a spark out of that. So that's good. So we'll move it down to the bottom one. Let's see if we got spark on it. Yeah, I saw a spark before the thing fell off here. Let's try it again. What can I put in here to keep this thing from moving around? I'll just try it slower. Yep. So we got spark on both spark plug cables. That means the coils are good. We're getting spark, even though these cables need to be changed. For now, we can just go with that. I need another ring for this. Well, problem solved. One of the Mercury Mark 10 spark plugs I have out right now. I took the ring off of it and it fits. So I got both Champion spark plugs in here now. So now we'll just snug them down just a bit and then put these back on. It says up. Okay. Well, I guess that's how you know it's on the top. I know that's the one I took it off. I looked at first before I took it off of there, so. There's a grommet or a bracket for these cables to go through. It's one of the head bolts that hold it on. Don't want to take that off. But I was able to slide these things through this grommet, so we'll do that and then hook it back up. So this is the bottom one. Okay. And then we'll hook this up through here, which is the top one. And there we go. These things are loose, but I guess we could try to tighten them, I guess, if we need to. I think we're okay the way it is. But these are gnarled nuts. They're not 6-point. They're just round, but they're gnarled. Gnarled meaning they're not smooth. So, all right. So we'll get that on there. What I used to get them off with, well, other than PB Blaster, to get the spark plugs and these off, but I used I got a little mini pair of channel locks. Craftsman too. Pretty cool. And snug those on there. Just like that. Cool. We're going to put the fuel tank back on here. Just put a little bit of fuel in it, hook up the fuel lines. Just a little bit of fuel in it to gravity feed that carburetor over there and see if it leaks, for one. If it leaks, that's why I don't want to put too much fuel in it. Just enough to make sure it's not leaking. Oh, I finished the handle, by the way. I got it on. No tape. I need to clean the residue off the handle though. Yeah, that came out good. We're just getting ready to put the fuel tank back on here. We have spark, we have compression, and before we start this, we don't want to have the prop on here because it does spin around on us. So that's dangerous, of course, being this direct drive. It doesn't have neutral. So we don't want the prop on there. So I took the prop off, okay, and it has 2 washers on it. One flat washer that fits right there, and then this one here goes on there. It's kind of a beveled washer. And then it has the slot on here for the shear pin. The shear pin's on there. It's not going anywhere. It's kind of like somebody peened both ends of it, so it won't fall off. it might break, but it won't fall off. And there's a nut that goes on there on the end. You tighten it down by hand and back it off just enough to get the cotter pin through it and fold the ears over on it. You have for keeping the prop on. So now we're going to get the tank on, hook up the fuel line, hook up the enrichment knob. Let's get that all hooked up. Going by the numbers up here, looks like it was between 3 and 4, so you want to make sure you, because this is a slot on here, you don't want to have it like this where it says 1, and I'm sure we want it in the middle range here. So we're going to put it over on, as soon as I get this on there we go. Get it over this pin, and it's about on 3. Okay, now we want to take this and raise this up. See that slot right there? I don't know if you can see it that good. Okay, see that slot right there? So you want this on that slot, and then slowly move it down. There we go, just like that. And then we have a nut that goes on there. If I can get the nut started. Okay, take the nut. Yeah, I like these little channel locks. They're pretty cool. That's one thing about this this fuel. With that oil in there, it sure left a oily residue everywhere. Okay. It's what they call the petcock. Make sure that's on there. Make sure it's off before we put fuel in it. Gravity fed. The fuel's here, comes down through this tube into the carburetor, raises up the float. There's a cork float in here, and the fuel raises that cork float up until it stops the flow of fuel. Otherwise, if it doesn't stop, we'll have a leak. When it starts leaking, we'll have to shut it back off. So when we open this valve up, we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. Let's tighten this stuff down. Okay. There's another thing too. I'm just tightening these things down, but I have some fuel sealant stuff that you can put on the threads of this stuff. So, but we're not really worried about it right now. But when we do the full restore on it, we will the thread sealant on the fuel lines. Guess we should put a bolt. We won't put all 4 bolts in, but we should put at least 2 bolts in here. So we'll do that. The decal's in pretty good shape on this. And the paint's kind of lifted off from the fuel, you know, but surprisingly the decal's in that good a shape. Oh, another thing I wanted to bring up about the post-war motors like this. When the guys came back from World War II, a lot of the guys went and got jobs, and they were building these motors after the war. The guys that came back from the war. So you know there was a lot of pride put into building these things back then. Definitely. Pride before. Because the people were building these motors, especially the ones I brought up before that were rectangle built, they were used in the war, so in certain areas. The people over here had a lot of pride in building stuff for the war. So kind of both ways, really. I put a little bit of fuel in there. Turned the petcock open. Guess I could turn it on again. Show you exactly what I'm seeing here. See it dripping? It's coming out of the carburetor. It's leaking. So what we need to do is take this carburetor apart, fix the issue, because the float, I guess I could tap on it and see if that tap on it with something. It's not gonna. There's supposed to be a pin that comes up out of the top up here. Yep. Yep, it's leaking. So let's shut it off. We'll take the carburetor apart and fix it. That's why I like this valve they got. It's pretty slick. That way you don't have to empty the whole tank. Alright, so we gotta fix the carburetor. That means I gotta take this back apart. There's a bolt here. Pulls this carburetor off, and there's I think there's another one somewhere. There's a line here that needs to be taken apart. I think I'll take it apart right here. Take this line apart here. Take that apart. That nut off. Not sure about over here. Anyway, we'll take the carburetor off. This video, part 2, is getting a little bit on the long side, so we're going to cut it short. I don't like to go any more than 25-30 minutes on a video, so and I'm sure you don't either. But what we're going to do is we're going to move on to part 3 of this, working on the carburetor. Alright, so until next time, we'll see you.